Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. I offer my respects to all of my teachers before I start. So again, we're looking at Hari Bhakti Vilas, the sixth Vilas, and yesterday in the last session we were looking at a Mahatmyam, a Mahatmyam of bathing the deity. So we were talking about how to bathe the deity in different substances, and we were finding out all the glories of all the wonderful things that come from bathing the deity, all the different blessings that God gives us for bathing the deity. So now, as part of bathing the deity, we came to a section about the glories of using a conch shell to bathe the deity. So there are different ways to bathe the deity. You can bathe the deity just from a pot or some other vessel or something like that. But a conch shell is considered to be quite spiritual. Although some sampradayas, like in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, many people, they don't use an actual conch shell, but they use a vessel which is shaped like a conch shell made of silver, because they say that the conch itself is, being the bone of an animal from the ocean, is not considered by them to be pure. But in many other sampradayas, like the Gaudiya Sampradaya, they think of this conch shell as being pure, and we worship the conch shell actually as being a representation of the Lord's conch shell. Lord Krishna has a conch shell called Panchajanyam or Panchajanya, and that conch shell is of course pure because it's the Lord's holy conch shell. And if we read the Bhagavad Gita, we see that even the different Kshatriyas, the different military men who were assembled on the field of battle at Kurukshetra, they all had their own conch shells, and they would blow them and make a noise to scare the enemy. So, Arjuna had a Devadatta conch shell, and they all had a name for their conch shell, their own personal conch shell. So that the name of Krishna's conch shell is Panchajanyam. And Lord Vishnu has the same conch shell. Panchajanyam is the name of that conch shell. So normally in puja, we use the conch shell for two different things. We can use it for bathing the deity. There's a type of conch shell which has the end blocked. It doesn't have the end cut off. And so you can pour water into it and pour water out the front of it or the spout of it. And there's another type of conch shell where we cut the end, the big end of it, and we're able to pass air from our mouth through it and make a sound. So that is called a blowing conch. And now we're talking specifically about the type of conch shell we use for bathing the deity. So let's have a look at the text and see the glories of the conch shell. So here we have, this is called the Shankha Mahatmyam. So again, Mahatmyam is a way of understanding the glories of a particular aspect that is given here in Hari Bhakti Vilas. And Hari Bhakti Vilas is full of quotations from different scriptures, giving the glories of performing different activities or not performing bad activities, or doing certain things, using certain items, following different vows, whatever it is. These are called Mahatmyam, so glorifications. So the glorifications in Sanskrit scriptures are meant to encourage us to do the right thing, not do the wrong thing, and to follow a particular procedure or fast or vow. And so that's why the glorifications are there. So we find also more information about those things in the glorifications, in these Mahatmyams. So here it says Ataha. Ataha means it's starting a new topic. Previously we had the topic about bathing the deity and the different substances to bathe the deity, and all the different herbs and spices and things, sarvosity. And now we're talking about the actual paraphernalia we need to pour the liquid on the deity, which is the conch or the shankha. Shankha is Sanskrit for conch. So Atah Shankaha Mahatmyam. So we have it here, the first verses, verse 129 to 130, are a conversation between Narada, who is a sage, who's a rishi, who's a seer, right? A guru and a teacher, and Brahma. Brahma is his father, and he's the first created living being. So Lord Brahma and Narada have a conversation, and that conversation is recorded in Skanda Purana. Skanda Purana, again, the biggest Purana, the longest Purana. So 4 times the size of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is 16,000 verses, Skanda Purana 64,000 verses. So very, very long. In fact, so long, sometimes people will say something is from Skanda Purana, and they if they don't know where it's from, they just say it's from Skanda Purana, and they dare you to go look it up because there's so many verses you'll never find it. So they just they fake it and they just say it's from Skanda Purana. But here we have an actual quotation from Skanda Purana, right? And it's going to tell us something about the conch. Let's hear. So one who bathes Lord Keshava, meaning Krishna, right, by pouring water over him from a conch shell, attains the merit of giving 100 Surabhi cows in charity. So giving a cow in charity is very good. A Surabhi cow is a special type of cow. If we look in the Bhagavatam, there's a story of how Indra inundated the residents of Gokula with water for 7 days, and Lord Krishna with rain, and Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill as an umbrella, and therefore he warded off that rainstorm or that flood. And afterwards, Indra decided to apologize to Krishna. So when he apologized, he went to a planet. There's a planet in the material universe called Goloka. It's not the Goloka you're thinking of, which is the spiritual world, right? But there's a planet in the material world, in the material universe, called Goloka. And Loka means planet and Go means cow. So it's the planet of cows. And Indra went to that planet, and he got a person from that planet. It was a cow called Surabhi. So here it's mentioned that there are Surabhi cows. So Surabhi is a special type of cow, which, and I'm not sure if it's there in the Sanskrit. I'm just looking. Maybe Kapila. Maybe Kapila means a type of cow, right? Which is translated here as Surabhi. Maybe. Okay. So this Surabhi cow is a very auspicious type of cow, a heavenly cow, right? The other name that we have for the heavenly cow is a Kama Denu, a Kama Denu. So the word Kama means desire, right? And Denu means a cow. It means a cow, or a cow, specifically the cow's udder, right? It can refer to the place the amrita, the nectar or the milk comes out from the cow, right? So Denu, so a Karma Denu is a desire cow, is a wish-fulfilling cow. So there are desire trees, there are desire cows. You wish on a tree, and the tree gives you whatever you want. You wish on the cow, and the cow gives you whatever. There's a great rishi called Vishishta Rishi, right? And he had a big argument with Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra was a king, and he came with his army, and he rested one day at the hermitage of Vishishta. And Vishishta was a Brahma Rishi, means he was the topmost Rishi. There's different types of Rishis, right? So you've got the topmost Rishis called a Brahma Rishi. Then you have a Raja Rishi. Raja means king. So Raja Rishi. Rishi means a seer or sage. So you have the Brahma Rishi. Brahma is the topmost demigod. So the Brahma Rishi is the topmost Rishi. Raja Rishi, you have a Maharishi, is a big Rishi. You have Raja Rishi. You have all these different types of levels of Rishi. So Vishwamitra was a king. He realized that Vishishta was a very powerful sage, and he became jealous, and he wanted to become a Brahma Rishi. So he did so many things to become a Brahma Rishi. But when he went to visit Vishishta as a king, before he became a Rishi, and Vishwamitra is an important Rishi. He's actually the Rishi of the Gayatri Mantra. So don't forget that. So when Vishwamitra went to see Vishishta, Vishishta entertained him as a guest with all his army by producing things from the cow. He had a cow. So Vishishta had a cow, was a Kamadenu. So just like the Surabhi cow, this Kamadenu, right, is a wish-fulfilling cow. So here it says, when you're bathing Lord Keshava, right, or Lord Krishna, right, it's like giving 100 desire cows in charity. So imagine Vishwamitra just wanted to get one. Vishishta was such a great sage, a Brahma Rishi. He had only one of these cows. But here it says, just by pouring a little water over Krishna and giving him a bath like that from a conch, you get the merit of giving away 100 of these wish-fulfilling cows, these spiritual, heavenly cows, right? So a person who bathes Lord Madhava on Dwadasi. Now, what is Dwadasi? Dwadasi means the 12th day of the moon, right? the moon goes through cycles. It goes through, first of all, it goes through the light fortnight, or the Shukla Paksha, right? The first 2 weeks of the lunar month is where actually for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it's the second half. But anyway, normally it's the first half. The first half of the month is where the moon is going from no moon or new moon up until full moon. The moon is getting bigger and it's getting whiter and whiter every night. And then more and more, we see more and more reflection of the sun. And then from the full moon, it goes down and it becomes smaller and smaller until it becomes the Amavasya. So the full moon is called Purnima. The 15th lunar day of the bright fortnight is Purnima, the full moon. And the 15th lunar day or lunar tithi or after the full moon is the Amavasya or the no moon or the new moon. Okay, so now Dwadasi is the 12th day of each one of those two cycles. So in a lunar month, there's these two cycles. There's the Shukla Paksha and the Krishna Paksha. There's the light fortnight and the dark fortnight. So 12 days after the Purnima is the Krishna Dwadasi. Of the dark fortnight is the Krishna Dwadasi of the 12th day of lunar day of the dark fortnight. 12 days after the Amavasya, the new moon, is the 12th day of the bright fortnight or the Shukla Paksha, Shukla Dwadasi. So this Dwadasi is an important day. It's also a very important day because it comes after the 11th day, and the 11th day of each half of the month is a very holy day for Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. It is called Hari's day. It's called Hari Vasara. So Ekadasi, and in fact, there's more than one chapter in Hari Bhakti Vilasa about Ekadasi. The Ekadasi, the mention of the vow of Ekadasi and fasting and doing different things on Ekadasi, right? Ekadasi, the 11th day and the 12th day, right? So actually the Ekadasi observances in Hari Bhakti Vilasa span over 3 days. The Dasami, the 10th day, the Ekadasi, the 11th day, which I said is called Hari Vasara, the day of Lord Vishnu, or Hari, and the 12th day, which is called the Dwadasi. So here we're talking about the Dwadasi. So there are some things to be done on the 10th day, some things to be done on the 11th day, some things to be done on the 12th day. We won't get into the details of this until we come to the 12th chapter, 13th chapter, like that of Hari Bhakti Vilasa. We'll understand more about Ekadasi Vratam and the role that things happen on Dasami and Dwadasi and Ekadasi. So here we have Dwadasi. So anyway, Ekadasi is a holy day. The next day is also holy, Dwadasi, and it has some holy reasons. So if we pour water and we bathe Lord Madhava, which means Krishna, again, Madhava. Madhava means the killer of the Madhu demon, also means Madhava means Madhu, means honey, like that. Radha and Krishna and his wives and things like that, they refer to each other as honey. Right? Or you are like honey, so they call each other honey. So just like we might say that in English also, in English slang, we might call our wife honey. The wife may call the husband honey, like this. So in Sanskrit also they use this, honey. So Madhu means honey. Madhava. So Madhava means killer of the Madhu demon, also has to do with honey, like that. So Lord Krishna on Dwadasi, if we bathe him on Dwadasi, right, with water. Now, there's actually, later on, we're going to learn that there are some special rules about bathing Krishna on Dwadasi, okay? So that's also some detailed information which we'll leave until we get to the 12th Vilasa or so, 12th or 13th Vilasa. We can also note, very interestingly, I also always wondered why Gopal Bhatta, when he was making Hari Bhakti Vilasa, why he didn't make Ekadasi the 11th Vilasa. That would make sense. The 11th Vilasa is Ekadasi because Ekadasi is the 11th day. But anyhow, it comes in 12th Vilasa. So it's a discussion of Dasami, Dwadasi, and Ekadasi. So it comes in 12th Vilasa and later. So that's okay. So anyway, here, Dwadasi is a holy day, 2 times a month in the bright and dark fortnight, in which we are also going to bathe the deity. If we bathe Lord Krishna on Dwadasi by pouring water from a conch shell, that is collected from a holy place, right? So the water itself should be collected from a holy place. Remember, when we were talking about bathing in the third Vilas, we were talking about taking a bath. And we're also talking about getting different ingredients together for worshiping the deity. One of the ingredients we have to get is water, and we have to, well, maybe we add perfumes and we add some different things to the water, but and spices and the flower petals. There are different things to be added to the water for different uses. And the water can be used for padyam, argyam, achmaniam. It can be used for washing the feet, washing the hands, washing the mouth, sprinkling over the head, bathing. So here we're talking about water which is used for bathing. So that is snana water, which can also have some perfumes in it. And different substances like sandalwood paste or agar, different things. And different sarva ovasiti, spices, which we talked about last time. Okay, so, and herbs. So these things should be added to water that is holy water. So the number one thing to remember about holy water is if it's really ritually pure, if it's pure water, it should come directly from a source in the ground. The ground is also a consort of the Supreme Lord. The ground is a goddess, Bhumi Devi, and the water kept in the ground, whether it be ocean water or river water or pond water or even well water, that water is considered pure. Other water is not considered that pure. If we take that water and we keep it in a plastic container, or even if we keep it in a gold or silver container, it's not considered as pure as if it's kept in the ground and then taken directly from there and used for the worship of the Lord. So, okay, so in modern times, we have lots of plumbing in our houses, in our temples. And so normally to get water for worship of the deity, we turn a tap on. The water comes out of the ground ultimately, right, from a river or from a reservoir, but it travels through this pipe, which is maybe 100 years old or 200 years old, in some cases many, many years old. And this pipe is not considered ritually pure, and then it comes into our vessel. So then we have to purify it in some other way, okay? But here it's saying we should get water from a holy place if we want to bathe the Lord with water. So even if we have water, which we're going to use, and it's not from a holy place, there are also some rituals and things that we can invoke, holy rivers, we can invoke holy tirthas to come and to be present in that water to make that water holy. And by adding things like tulsi leaves, we also make it holy, like that. So, okay, so anyway, here it's saying we should collect that water from a holy place. If that's not possible, we have to make the water pure before we pour it over the Lord with the conch shell. And if we do that on Dwadasi, what happens? The result is delivering 100 generations of one's family for each drop of water. So 100 generations of your family. So it's not saying in the future or in the past. It doesn't mention at what time. But so we can assume it's, at least 100 generations of your family before all become liberated. They all go to Vaikuntha or they all go to Goloka, right? For every drop of water that you pour from a sacred place through a conch shell onto Lord Madhava on Dwadasi. So when we think about this is just an incredible statement here. So much benefit is available to our family from just worshiping the Lord by pouring holy water through a conch shell. So continuing on, we have text 131 to 134. I'm not sure if we're still in Skanda Purana, but maybe it may still be Skanda Purana. We'll see. Again, we have this word kapila. It means a white cow, I believe. Let's look it up in the Sanskrit dictionary just for a minute, right? And we'll see. But it was mentioned before when we talked about the desire cow. Kapila. Kapila, okay. Kapila, okay, so it means brown or tawny or reddish color. It can be a type of cow. Yeah. It says here, a brown cow. Okay. Simple. Okay, Kapila, a brown cow. So this brown cow, and there are different types of cows, as many people will know. We have the Western type of cows, but in India they have a specific type of cow, or they have indigenous herds of types of cows in India, and these are the cows which are preferred. So here it's talking about chira also, chiram. Chiram means milk. So we're going to talk about bathing the Lord with milk from a cow. Okay, so, oh Narada. So again, this is from Skanda Purana. Lord Brahma is addressing Narada, and he's saying, a pious devotee who bathes Lord Janardana, right, which is another name for Lord Krishna and for Lord Vishnu, Janardana, by pouring milk from a brown cow from a conch shell, achieves the merit of performing 10,000 sacrifices. And I'm not sure if it actually mentions what type of sacrifice it is, but there are different types of sacrifices. It just says yagya. Yagya yuta palam labet. Okay. So, all right, good. So then continuing on, it says, bathing Lord Hari by pouring the milk of a cow from a conch shell gives one the merit of performing a Rajasuya sacrifice. So Rajasuya sacrifice, the word Raja means king. Rajasuya sacrifice is a king wants to show his dominance over all the other rulers in the kingdom, like an emperor, and he therefore performs this particular Rajasuya sacrifice. So it's a very big sacrifice. So it's just like doing that, bathing Krishna from a conch shell with cow milk. Bathing Lord Vishnu by pouring water mixed with rice paddy and flower petals from a conch shell. So let's see if that's mentioned here. Sa'akshitam, it says here. Sa'akshitam, akshitam means rice colored with turmeric or kumkum. So maybe I disagree that it's rice paddy. Paddy usually means unhusked rice. So here it's akshita. Akshita just means husked rice, right? And kusumanditam means with flowers, so flower petals. Rice and flower petals, or akshita and flower petals from a conch shell, destroys the devotee's sinful reactions that accumulated over many lifetimes. So if we just pour water, even water with a little bit of akshita, usually it's interesting that it says here akshita, because akshita is one of those ingredients in deity worship that we use if we don't have something else. So here there are two benedictions which are given. First one is for pouring milk from a brown cow. Second is for pouring any type of cow milk, right? But let's say you have no cow, you don't have cow milk from a brown cow, or you get the milk and you don't know if it's from a brown cow, right? So then, anyway, you get the benefit of pouring the milk from a cow. You don't know which cow it is, right? Let's say you can't get brown cow milk. You can't get any cow milk. You can't get any milk at all, even water. And you put some akshata, which is a substitute item in it, right? Even water by itself, plain water with a little akshata and flower petals, right? Which is something that we use as substitute items, akshata and flower petals, will destroy the sinful reactions accumulated for many lifetimes. The devotee who bathes the Lord in water mixed with rice paddy, flower petals, and sandalwood paste. So again, we were discussing before adding sandalwood paste, a little bit of ganda. Now the word is probably ganda here. Satchandaram. It's actually chandaram, so it's not ganda. So it's actually sandalwood paste, right? Because sometimes we translate ganda as sandalwood paste. In the last lesson, we understood that ganda itself is defined in Hari Bhakti Vilasa as sandalwood paste with aguru and camphor. So you make sandalwood paste and you have to add some aguru scent, which comes from another type of scented wood, and also some camphor, and that is called ganda. But in general, ganda means a smell or a type of perfume. So it could be any type of perfume, ganda. But here it's specific and it says chandaram, sachandaram. Okay. So it's with sandalwood paste. So if we do that, the person who does that eternally resides in my abode, spiritual abode of Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan. So let's continue on, text 135 to 137. It sounds like we're hearing some more from Lord Brahma here. A devotee who bathes Lord Vishnu with water mixed with sandalwood paste, again, let's see what it says. Chitva Gandodakam. So here it says Gandodakam. So it doesn't specifically say Chandanam. It says scented water, let's say. Scented water, Gandodakam, water with Ganda in it, and which can be sandalwood paste or it could be in some other sense, from a conch shell. If one worships Lord Vishnu by bathing him with that, while chanting Namo Narayanaya. Okay, so does it say that? It says Namo Narayanaya. Namo Narayanaya. Okay, so there's a mantra Om Namo Narayanaya. You can chant that, or you can just chant Namo Narayanaya. So which would only be 7 syllables. Om Namo Narayanaya is 8 syllables. Namo Narayanaya is also good. Namo Narayanaya means the same thing as Om Namo Narayanaya. It means obeisance. My obeisance is unto Lord Narayana. Okay, so is liberated from the danger of being born again. So you will not be born again means you go to liberation, because only a person who is liberated is not born again. So he becomes liberated from the danger of being born again. So, oh Narada, again, Brahma's addressing Narada and saying, water from a river, a well, a lake, or a pond. Remember, I was talking about these places where water is kept in the earth and kept pure. If placed in a conch shell, it becomes as good as the Ganges water. So no need to make it Ganges water. If you just put it in the conch shell, it becomes Ganges water. It's as good as Ganges water if you put it in the conch shell. Now, many sampradayas in India, and even not Vaishnava sampradayas and even non-Vaishnava sampradayas, they insist on using Ganges water in the worship of their deities. And because Ganges water is considered to be extremely pure, completely pure, because it comes from spiritual water that's come from the spiritual heavens. So we can, when we call the holy rivers to be present in the water, the first river that we call, the first and topmost river that we know about, the holy river, is called the Ganges. So there are some other holy rivers. We say Gangecha, Yamuna Chaiva, Yamuna is another one. Godavari is another one. Saraswati is another one, which is not really existent right now. We can't see it, right? Gangecha, Yamuna Chaiva, Godavari, Saraswati. Narmada River is one. Sindhu is another holy river. And Kaveri. Kaveri is a holy river, especially for Sri Vaishnavas. The Kaveri flows by Sri Rangam, which is the Vatican of the Sri Vaishnava Ramanuja Sampradaya. So these are all holy rivers, right, like that, out of which the Ganges is considered to be topmost. But these other rivers are also pure, like that. So if we simply put the water in the conch shell, it's as good as Ganges water, without even saying the mantra to invoke the Ganges. Like that. O best of the Brahmanas, by the order of the Supreme Lord, all the holy places on earth. Let me repeat that. Now, and does it say earth or does it say, not sure. It doesn't really. It says Trilokye. No, it doesn't say earth. It says actually all the holy places, Yani Tirtani, Trilokye. It means all the holy places in the 3 worlds. Not just earth, right? All the holy places in the 3 worlds become present in the conch shell. So no need to chant the mantra. There's another mantra which we chant also to call all the different tirthas, the different holy places, and be present in the water to bathe in the deity. So we don't need to do that. If we simply put it in the conch, it's considered to be as if all the holy places, all the holy rivers have all come into the water. Therefore, one should worship the conch every day. The conch is so pure, is considered to be so pure, right, that we worship it, and we worship it with these mantras for Panchajanya, remembering the actual conch that Lord Krishna had, like that. So therefore, we should worship the conch every day. So what's it? Tasmat Shankam Sada Chayet. Sada means not every day, but always. So here he's translated by every day. But Sada means always. Sadacharit. So he should always worship the conch. So are we going to learn about how to worship the conch? Let's see. Text 138. Okay, so one who offers argya, right? And remember, argya is that water that we just offer to the guest, and the guest can use it in whatever way he likes. Sometimes we use it for washing the hands of the deity, the deity's hands. Sometimes we can sprinkle it over the head. Okay, so one who offers argya, consisting of flower petals, sesame seeds, right? And there are 2 types of sesame seeds. There's the black ones and the light ones. Normally, the black ones are preferred for apara karmas, right? Things to do with the ancestors and after samskaras that occur after the death of the person. Whereas, or tarpanums for ancestors, for the pitris, but whereas the light-colored ones are preferred for auspicious or punya karmas, auspicious rituals or auspicious activities, which are called purva prayogas, the apara prayogas or rituals after death, but the ones before, during our lifetime, the auspicious ones. So these are the light-colored sesame seeds. So flower petals, light sesame seeds, and rice paddy. And again he's translating rice paddy as akshatam. So again, it's not paddy. It is rice, which is mixed with turmeric or kumkum to make it slightly colored and auspicious. Kumkum and turmeric are the same thing, right? Actually, it looks red and looks yellow, but when you take the yellow turmeric, which is also called in Hindi called haldi, or in Tamil it's also called manjal podi. So that if you take that haldi or that turmeric powder and you add to it lemon juice or lime, lime meaning calcium hydroxide, not the lime from a lemon, but you can add lemon juice, you can add lime. It turns it red. It makes it red. And in fact, the kumkum, which is traditionally used in at least in many parts of India, especially in South India, there's a brand of kumkum called Gopuram Kumkum, which has a picture of a temple tower on the front. It's very, very auspicious, that kumkum, because it's not made of any chemicals, but it's a pure turmeric which has been turned red by adding some sort of natural agent to it, like lemon juice or calcium hydroxide. So that type of kumkum, or the turmeric itself, which is considered, now turmeric and kumkum are considered to be auspicious. They're considered to be non-different from Lakshmi, from Mahalakshmi. So Lakshmi is like giving her blessings in kumkum, like that, okay? So that's why many people, they wear the tilak, they wear some kumkum on the forehead. And the married ladies, they wear a dot of kumkum on the forehead. And some people use the turmeric as they also, ladies and different people use turmeric to purify things. It's a very pure substance. Okay, so when we add turmeric to rice, it is called akshata, right? Unbroken rice. So flower petals, sesame seeds, and akshata, right? When we make an arghya, right, which is we have the pure water, right, and we have flower petals, sesame seeds, and akshata in that water, and we offer that to the Lord either sprinkling over the head or washing the hands as arghya, right? And we do that from a conch shell. From a conch shell. You attain the merit of donating the entire earth along with its oceans, right? So not just the land portion, but also the ocean portion, which is also a great portion of the earth is ocean. So you're donating that. So it says here, sasagara, along with the oceans. Dara, the word dara means earth. The earth along with its oceans is the fruit, the benefit, the merit from donating that to somebody, to a worthy recipient. Charity has to be given. There's in the Bhagavad Gita, we read in the, I think, 16th chapter, we're talking about different modes of nature, and their charity can be done in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. So here we're talking about charity in the mode of goodness, given at the right time to the right person for the right reason. And that is giving the whole earth, including its oceans, if you own the earth, right, which we don't, but if somebody owned the earth and they gave it away to somebody else for the right reason at the right time, then this would be an immense merit that the person would get from doing this. So that merit is given to a person who simply offers arghya with a conch shell with the following ingredients in it: flower petals, sesame seeds, and akshata. So continue on text 139 and 140. Seems like it's a very long conversation between Narada and Brahma in the Skanda Purana. Of course, Narada is very famous for having these discussions about deity worship, and many of the discussions by Narada are considered to be Narada Pancharatra. That Narada is giving these discussions. He talks about deity worship quite a lot in different Puranas and different books. So here we have, by offering arghya, once again, offering arghya from a conch shell, and then circumambulating the Lord. So we're adding in here circumambulation. Circumambulation means to go around the Lord clockwise, right? All the circumambulations are done, the auspicious circumambulations are done clockwise. So when we circumambulate somebody, why do we do it clockwise? We do it clockwise because the right side of the body, or the right hand, is considered more auspicious. We always use the right hand for offering something to God. The left hand is maybe used for ringing the bell or something else, some secondary thing. But the primary side for offering is the right side, and that's because we use the left hand for some cleaning in the bathroom, some other things which we don't need to talk about right here, but we've talked about before in the morning duties and things like that. So the left side is not considered as auspicious. In Latin, we have the word sinister, means left, sinistre. So in English that becomes a word sinister. It means evil almost, you know. So left in Latin became in English evil, like that. So left is considered evil. Left-handed people are considered a little evil, like that. Sometimes when I go to India and people see that, because I can write with both hands, but I prefer to write with my left. I was taught at school, but my preference is left, and I'm left-handed. And there were some great pundits, believe it or not, in India who were left-handed, but it's always looked down on. That why are you writing or touching something with your left hand? So the right hand is used, right, because the right hand is considered more auspicious. So when we circumambulate, when we go around clockwise, we are showing the auspicious side of our body to the personality that we're circumambulating, or to the building, or to the temple, or whatever it is, right, that we're going around. So if we circumambulate our parents or elders or a sannyasi or a tulsi tree, if we worship tulsi and we should go around clockwise, the deity. So here it's saying that we should first offer argya to the Lord, and later on it's going to be described circumambulating the deity. At the end of the puja, we can also circumambulate the deity. Now there are times when we should not circumambulate the deity, like when the deity's eating, or there's certain pujas going on, or sleeping, perhaps. Maybe there's some reasons, and that may be brought up later on in Hari Bhakti Vilasa, but we don't go into that detail right now. But this is the first time I believe that we have discussed this idea of circumambulating. So that's why I just wanted to speak a bit about circumambulating. So we have, first of all, offer argya in a conch shell to the deity, and then we circumambulate the Lord, right? Then if we do that, we achieve the merit of circumambulating the entire earth around the 7 islands. There's actually a story in the Puranas about how Lord Shiva and Parvati have 2 sons. They have Subramanya, or Kartikeya, and Ganesh. And Ganesh is got an elephant head, you know, and he rides on a mouse. His mouse or a rat is his vehicle, just like. And Subramanyam has 6 faces and 6 heads, and he rides on a peacock. So one time there was proposed that there should be a race around the universe, right? So all the different devatas, all the different gods, they decided we're going to have a race around the universe and see who comes back first. And so Ganesh thought, what I'm going to do is, because I'm got a big elephant head, I'm a big, fat devata, maybe I can't get around the universe as quickly as some of these other devatas, and especially because I have to ride on a mouse or a rat. So that may take me a long time to go around the universe. So what he decided to do was to just go around, circumambulate his parents, to go around Lord Shiva and Parvati, which is a lot shorter, like that. But he was saying this is equivalent to going around the universe, right? Because Shiva is in charge of the destruction of the universe, and Devi, Parvati, is in charge of material nature, right, Devi? So just go around them, and it's equivalent to go around the universe. So he was considered the winner of the race because of that. So here it's saying about circumambulating the earth, not the universe, but just the earth, right, along with the 7 islands. So if we read in Puranic cosmology, the earth is divided up into 7 land masses. But we don't need to go into Puranic cosmology here. But anyhow, it's pretty much understood. There are these 7 continents, and which one is which, according to the Puranas and things, we don't need to go into right here. But in any case, just offering argya in a conch shell and then going round the Lord is equal to circumambulating the whole earth along with the 7 islands. Just as cold and fog, right, vanish as soon as the sun rises, right? So if it's a cold day in the morning, and there's fog or mist in the air, And then when the sun rises at dawn, it starts to burn away all the mist and into the fog, right? So just as the sun destroys the fog and cold in the morning, as soon as one sees a conch shell, all his sinful reactions are destroyed. So you go to the temple and you didn't see the deity, but you just saw a conch shell. All your sinful reactions are considered destroyed. It's so powerful. It's so holy. So this Panchajanya conch shell of the Lord, right? Or seeing because all these conches are worshipped in the temples as Panchajanya. Panchajanyaya vidmahi pavamanaya dhimahi tanno shanka prachodayat. There's even a Gayatri mantra for the pancha, for the conch. And we not only worship the conch, we even worship the stand that the conch sits on. Right? So there are many, many mantras to worship the conch and many, many things to meditate upon in the conch. And the conch is considered very pure. Why? Because it's a symbol of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Lord Krishna blew this conch, Panchajanya, at the beginning of the Battle of Kurukshetra. And so the conch is a very holy. And in philosophy, the conch is considered to be the grace of the Lord, is considered to be the mercy of the Lord, and to consider to be also the knowledge potency of the Lord. But from the Lord comes all knowledge, all forgetfulness, and all remembrance, right? According to Bhagavad Gita. Whereas the chakra is considered to be the active potency of the Lord, the Shakti or the power of the Lord, right? The conch is something else. So all of these symbols, all of these weapons of the Lord and his different, paraphernalia, they all have meanings in philosophy also. But we don't need to go into that here. We're just talking about the external worship of the deity, but we can meditate upon these things when we're also worshiping the deity. So when we see the conch and we worship the conch in daily worship, before we worship the Lord, right? This is what we call a Anga Puja or Samagri Puja, that we have to perform some purification and some worship of the paraphernalia that we worship the Lord with. In fact, in the Pancharatra system, after we install the deity, when we install the deity, we also have to install all of the paraphernalia of the deity. So the fans, the chamaras, the pots in the kitchen, temple kitchen, the bells, the conch shells, all these things also get installation. They all are installed as well. So there's many, many forms of installation of all the different paraphernalia of the Lord. The paraphernalia of the Lord, just like the devotees of the Lord, they're also considered non-different. They're considered as pure as the Lord. Aradhananam sarvesham vishnum aradhanam param. Right? So Lord Shiva says, Parvati is asking this question. His wife has asked a lot of questions of Shiva, and Shiva gets a lot of answers. So Parvati was asking about what is the most pure thing, and Lord Shiva says, Aradhananam sarvesham. Of all worships, the worship of Lord Vishnu is the purest, is the best. It's the param, it's the greatest. Right. Radhananam Savisham Vishnu Radhanam Param. Tasmat Parataram Devi. But Parataram, even greater than that, O Devi. O Devi, even greater than that, even more great than the greatest. Greater than the greatest is the worship of Tadiyanam Sa'achanam, the worship of that which is related to Lord Vishnu, right? Meaning the devotees of the Lord, the Bhagavatas, the great pure devotees of the Lord, and also the Lord's paraphernalia. So here is one of the things which is the Lord's paraphernalia, his conch shell. So the worship of the conch shell is considered even greater than the worship of the Lord itself. So it destroys all sinful reactions just by seeing it, not even by worshiping it, just seeing it. So what then can be said for a person who actually touches that conch shell, right? The archika, the person who's the pujari in the temple or in the house, will actually touch the conch shell and use the conch shell to pour the water over the deity. So that person's even more blessed. So all of the sinful reactions come even if we just see the conch shell. What to speak of worship the conch shell, use the conch shell to bathe the deity. So text 141, one who is accustomed to using the conch shell for various purposes, such as external or occasional rituals, right? Eternal or occasional rituals. The words here used are nitye, naimitike, right? So nitya means daily, actually. So he's translated here as eternal, but it actually means daily. Nitya kit kriyas or nitya karmas are daily activities or daily rituals that we go through, like Sandhya Vandanam, Upasana Homam, Samhita Danam, all these different things, Brahma Yagyam, what else? Panchamahayagyam, Vaishvadeva, all these sort of things are daily rituals which have to be performed. In fact, there's a sloka which tells us what are the main 5 things. But there are different duties which are done, which are nitya and naimittika, some which are done daily and some which are occasionally done. So I thought there's a very nice sloka in a book called Nityanikam. Anikam means daily, nitya means eternal, but daily activities, the eternal daily activities or rituals. And it's called Nityanikam, the daily routines of every Brahmana or every Brahmin. And it's published by R.S. Vadya, which is a very famous Indological book publisher in South India, in Kolgat, in Kerala. Okay, so in the very beginning, they give a definition of the things in Sanskrit. They give a definition of the things which a Brahmin has to do every day. So it says Snanam, Sandhya, Japo, Homaha, Devatanam, Chapujanam, Atityam, Vaishvadevam cha, Satkarmani, Dine Dine. Dine Dine means daily, every day by day. Dine Dine, day by day. Day by day, Satkarmani. There are 6 things which you have to do. Shnanam, you have to do ritual bath. Sandhya Vandanam, 3 times a day, Trikala Sandhya Vandanam, right? Japa means chanting of mantras, right? And meditation on the meaning of those mantras. Homa means the 5 rituals you have to do. Devatanam Tapujanam, so the worship of the devatas or gods, different devatas, and especially the Supreme Lord Krishna. And then Atityam Vaishvadevam cha, so Atityam Vaishvadevam. Vaishvadevam is the Panchamahayagyam, where we offer some food items to different the rishis and the devatas and all the different personalities, and even to a guest who comes to our house, uninvited guest, Atityam. So that is called Panchamahayagya, and it serves as a repayment for the debt that we're all born into. In this world, we are all born into debt. We are indebted to the devatas for giving us water, light, rain, air, the land to stand on, all these sort of things, right? And we're indebted to the rishis for giving us the mantras from the Vedas, and we're indebted to the acharyas for teaching us the different gurus. We're indebted to so many different living beings, right? So we have to repay those debts by doing the Vaishvadevam. At least the grihastas do it, the householders, they do it, right? And these are the 6 things. So Snanam, Sandhya, Japa, Homaha, Japo Homaha, Devatanam, Tapujanam, Atityam, Vaishvadevam cha, Satkarmani, Dine Dine. Okay, nice verse. Okay, so to get back to that, so that the reason I pulled that out was because here it says nitya naimitike. It means nitya naimittika. So it means in the daily and the occasional kamye activities, right? So for those who use a conch shell for various purposes in their daily and occasional rituals and fruitive activities, as well as while worshipping and bathing the deity, that person resides eternally in the abode of the Lord. Excuse me. All right. That person resides eternally in the abode of the Lord, Swetatdvipa. Swetatdvipa is another abode of the Lord, like Goloka or Vaikuntha, but it's in this material world. It's Swetatdvipa. Sweta means white, Dvipa means island. It's a white island where Lord Vishnu lives, right? And the devatas, the demigods, go there and they pray to Lord Vishnu to appear and to come in different avatars and to protect the world and to preach Dharma, the establishment of religiosity. And so the island is white because the ocean, it's in the ocean of milk, and the ocean of milk laps up against the island and makes the whole thing white. So it's called Swetatdvipa, like that. We should note that back in the fifth Vilas, where we were discussing about different, we were discussing preliminaries to the external deity worship here that we're doing. We had some different nyasas, and we had some meditations that go along. Especially, I was discussing with Dear Nitai about the Gopal mantra nyasa, and one of the places which you meditate upon when we do the Pita puja, or the pedestal puja, or the throne puja of the deity, is that we meditate upon it being Sweatedweed, or this white island where Lord Vishnu has abode. Of course, we can also, if we're specifically have the Issa Devatar or the deity of Lord Krishna, we can think of Mathura instead of Sweatedweed. That's mentioned there. Okay, so anyway, continuing on. So what was the purpose of that? Okay, so those who use the conch shell for various purposes. Now, I think it may have been mentioned in the part about bath that you can use the conch shell to take a bath yourself. That's also mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Now, even if you don't use a conch shell when you take bath, there's a system of taking bath, ritual bath, where you use the conch, your mudra, like a conch shell. You take the two hands and grasping the thumb of the right hand with the left hand, or excuse me, grasping the left hand with the right hand, or vice versa. We can make what looks like a conch shell, and we can take that conch shell, or we can also do a kumbha, right? And we can use that to pick up water in a river or a pond when we're taking bath and put it over our head. So that's another way of using a conch shell instead of the actual conch shell, but using a conch shell mudra during bath. Anyway, that's more complicated, and if anybody wants to understand all the different methods of performing the ritual bath, which is very, very complex. Normally, we don't go into it because we don't have the facility to take that type of ritual bath so much in the West. But in India, there are holy places and rivers and oceans and tanks that we next to temples where we can take that type of bath. But normally in the West, we don't do that. We just have a bathroom and we take a shower or like that. So, okay. So there's some modern types of taking bath and more ritual and more ancient forms. So let's continue on anyway. So text 142, again, we're talking about the conversation between Narada and Brahma about the boys of the conch shell. No one can estimate the piety of a Vaishnava who, after offering his obeisances to Lord Vishnu, bathes him by using a conch shell while chanting the following mantra. Now we're going to get a mantra. Right. So it actually says something about it here. Mantrena ananena Vaishnavaha. Okay. Okay, so here's the mantra. Twampura sagarotpano Vishnuna vidita kare manita sarvadevaischa panchajanyam namostute. Panchajanya namostute. So namostute means I offer obeisances to you, I offer my respects to you, or panchajanya. So tava nadena jimuta. There's three verses here. Tava nadena jimuta vitrasyanti sura suraha sashankayuta diptabha panchajanya namostute. So notice also in these three verses, the last line, the last quarter is always panchajanya namostute. So it's all prayers to the conch, to Lord Krishna's conch, panchajanya. And the last one is garba devarinadina vilayanti sahasrada tava nadena patale panchajanyam namostute. Now what's the meaning of it, of all three? O panchajanya conch shell, you had long ago appeared from the ocean. Lord Vishnu holds you in his hand. Even the demigods show you great respect. I offer my obeisances unto you. O Panchajanya, by your sound, the clouds, the demigods, and the demons become afraid. Your effulgence is equal to that of 10,000 moons. And finally, O Panchajanya, by your sound, thousands of wives of the demons in Patala Loka have miscarriages. So just the sound and the vibration of the Panchajanya conch shell brings fear to the people who are on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and it can also it's so loud and the vibrations are so heavy that it causes the wives of the demons in Patala Loka, which is the very lowest of the planetary systems out of the 7 planetary systems or 14 worlds. Sometimes it's called 3 worlds, 14 worlds, 7 worlds. So anyway, it's the very lowest of this hellish planets, right? The wives of the demons who reside there, the pregnant wives, have miscarriages. They give their pregnancies are terminated by that conch sound. So it can kill demons. Is the point which is being made here, even the sound. So that's the end of the discussion between Brahma and Narada being quoted here from Skanda Purana about the glories of the conch shell. Now continuing on, we're getting some more glories of the conch shell from the Varaha Purana. Varaha Purana is a Mahapurana. It's a Sattvic Purana, and it's very nice. So in the mode of goodness. So here we have text 146 to 148. One who stands in the water of a river facing east. Right. So now normally when we go and take bath in a river, we should face upstream. But in this case, he's saying to face east because east again is the most auspicious direction for doing puja because the sun comes up in the east like that. But anyhow, if you go to a river and take bath and you stand in the water and you face east, right? What does it say in the Sanskrit? Prak. Prak means east. Okay. Prak, Nadyam. Okay. So who stands facing east with the lower part of his body submerged and pours water on his head from a conch shell. See, I told you it wasn't stated before. It wasn't there in the third Vilasa, like I said. I was wrong. It's right here. Right here in Harirak Vilasa, it mentions that you can take a bath. You can take your conch shell out and go to the river and you can take bath and use the conch shell to pour water on your head. So it pours water on his head from a conch shell that is curved to the right, right? So it doesn't say here right conch shell. Dakshina Varta Sankena. Dakshina Varta, that curves around to the right. So normally we see a conch that curves to the left, right? If we see one that curves to the right, that's even more auspicious. Right? Pours water on his head from a conch that is curved to the right, destroys all of his sins committed in this life just by taking bath in this way. One who pours water that was kept in a copper container on his head from a conch shell. Copper is considered a very pure metal. In fact, there's a verse in Hari Bhakti Vilasa that says that puja paraphernalia made of copper is considered by Lord Varaha to be even, this may also come from Varaha Purana, this part about copper paraphernalia, right? Is considered to be even better than gold and silver paraphernalia. And that's because it's so pure, whereas gold and silver are not completely 100% pure, right? Otherwise they'd be too soft. But copper can be 100% pure and be used. The difficulty, of course, which I think I've mentioned before, is that the copper tarnishes very easily, and therefore there's a lot of effort to keep it clean. Okay. So you keep, usually people will keep water in a copper container to get some of the energy of the copper, some of the ions from the copper enter the water and purify the water, and therefore the water kept in a copper container is considered good for health and also good for, obviously good for taking bath here, but even good for puja. So one who pours water that is kept in a copper container, right, through the conch shell onto his head, right, at once becomes free of all sins committed in this lifetime. So now we're going to get some quotes from the Agamas. We're not exactly sure what Agama Shastra this is from, but anyway, it's from the Agamas. Text 149 to 150. A conch shell has 3 qualities that are to be considered. So when you're choosing you're buying a conch shell or going to get a conch shell or deciding to use a particular conch shell for a particular thing, right? There's size, smoothness, and clarity. If there are no natural holes in the conch shell and it is plated with gold, then it's suitable for worship of the deity, even if it's broken and not properly curved. Okay, so it's just giving some idea here. The word hema means gold. So sometimes we see this, that we have these conch shells which are plated with gold or silver, which are used in the worship of the Lord. Especially the Madhvas, they like to have these conch shells which have attachments are made of silver and gold, metal. But I've seen also other places in India where they do the same thing. Some people just use the plain conch shell. So text 151. I don't know if this is still coming from Madhvas, but anyhow, it says it is extremely essential to ring the bell while bathing the deity because Lord Keshava is very fond of this practice. It seems like this is the end of the discussion about conch shells, and now we're talking about the bell. The bell is also important when we bathe the deity. We hold the conch shell in the right hand, we hold the bell in the left hand, and we ring the bell. So, in fact, there's different ways to ring the bell. I think I've mentioned this before. We can ring the bell so that the clapper hits one side of the bell in normal worship. When we come to bathing the deity or offering the foodstuffs or offering the camphor arti at the end of, or the illumination at the end of the worship, then we can ring the bell very vigorously so that the clapper hits both sides. So it's extremely essential to ring the bell while bathing the deity because Lord Keshava is fond of this practice. So in the Narada Pancharatra, text 152, it says, while inviting the Lord, Avahanam, right? See, it says here, Avahana, and then it says, Argya, while offering Argya, Drupa, incense, Pushpa, offering flowers, Naivedya, or food, right? One should always ring the bell and chant the following mantra. Okay, so it's saying here that we should always, nitya, eternally, right, ring the bell and chant this particular mantra, right? So here's a mantra for ringing the bell. And normally this mantra is chanted at the beginning when we're setting up the paraphernalia, and it has to do with the bell. And this is the mantra, text 153 to 154. So one should offer incense to the Lord while ringing the bell after chanting Jaya Dvani Mantra Mataha Swaha. So it says Jaya Dvanim Tato Mantra Mata Swahetyu Diryacha Abhyarchya Vadayan Gantam Dupam Nichaif Padapayet Puja Kalam Vinan Yatra Hitam Nyasa Prachalanam Nataya Chavina Kuryat Pujam Siddhi Lalasaha. Okay, so it is not auspicious to ring the bell at any time other than while worshiping the Lord. So there are rules for ringing the bell or not ringing the bell. When we enter the temple, a bell or sound is made. Even when we enter the deity room, the sound or bell, the garbhagriha, the actual close association of the deity, we should make a sound. Just like when a servant enters a room, he makes a sound, or he makes some, or just like when we go to visit a respectable person, we'll knock on the door, or we'll press the doorbell and make a sound before we just burst in, right? We should always do this. And so therefore, there are different times when the ringing of a bell is considered good, and there are other times when ringing the bell is not considered good. A person who desires perfection should not engage in worshiping the Lord without ringing a bell. Although there are some traditions, for instance, in the home worship of the southern school of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Tengalite Sri Vaishnavas, their bell is not used. But there's some other reasons for that. But mostly, you can say in all other cases, when we worship the Lord, we should be ringing a bell with the left hand. We should always have this bell. The bell is an auspicious The bell, attracts the devatas. It drives away the demons. It's considered very holy, right? The ringing of the bell. Maybe considered even a substitute for kirtan or for the chanting of the holy name. If we don't have any people to do that, the ringing of the bell is considered to be a holy, auspicious sound. So now we're going to get the glories of the ringing of the bell. We're going to understand more about that ringing of the bell. So first of all, without really telling us that we're starting another topic, on when we got to text 151, all of a sudden we finished talking about conch shells, glories of the conch shells, and we started talking about the bell. So although there wasn't any mention of ata, danta, something, it's not there. But anyway, here we're talking about the bell, talking about how to use the bell, talking about mantras to chant, to when we first ring the bell or when we're worshiping the bell, and then now we're going to get the glories of ringing the bell. So here is also maybe from the same place in Skanda Purana, where Lord Brahma is again talking to Narada Rishi. And let's continue on. So this is the glories of the bell. Text 155. Now listen, I will describe the piety one accumulates by ringing a bell while bathing and worshipping Lord Vasudeva. Vasudeva means Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. It could also mean Vasudeva in the Pancharatric system of Karnika Vyuha Virava Antayana and Archa. The original person is called Paravasudeva. So Vasudeva. So text 156 to 158. Those who worship the Lord while ringing a bell will reside in the heavenly planets for thousands of millions of years, meaning billions of years, being served by celestial women, right? Meaning apsaras or angelic women, angels. The bell is most auspicious of all musical instruments. So there are many musical instruments which can be used, and later on in the 8th Vilasa, we're going to learn about chanting and singing different prayers and different names to the Lord, and accompanying that with singing and also dancing, right? So that singing and also instrumental music. So here is saying that the bell is actually considered the most auspicious instrument. It is very pleasing to Lord Keshava or Krishna. Ringing a bell yields the piety of performing millions of sacrifices. A person who obeys Lord Hari while playing musical instruments, ringing a bell, singing songs in glorification of the Lord, and making auspicious sounds. So here we have Gita Mangala. Mangala means auspicious, right? So undoubtedly becomes liberated in this very lifetime. Okay, so these are all being praised using the bell, but also musical instruments and making all other auspicious sounds. So text 159 to 161, again, continuing on with this conversation. If there are no musical instruments available at the time of worshiping the Lord, then by simply ringing a bell, everything becomes perfect. So sometimes I can remember being a pujari and being in the temple and doing the deity worship in the temple, and everybody else was outside of the temple and doing other things. And we would have to do the artis, we would have to do the pujas by ourselves, and we'd be all alone with the deities. And so at that time, we would ring the bell. Some people would prefer to put on a tape recording or an audio of somebody chanting the holy name or chanting mantras and things like this. But here we see that the scripture says that the Shastras actually say that at the time of puja kala, time of worship, right, that simply by ringing the bell, it covers all these, it makes everything perfect. So the sound of the bell is auspicious. It's very dear to Lord Hari. That is why one must ring the bell while worshiping the Lord. Simply by ringing the bell, one can please Lord Keshava, the master of the demigods, for a duration of time equal to the reign of hundreds of thousands of manus. So a very long time. Texts 162 to 164 come from the Vishnu Dharmottara, and it's a conversation between the Lord and Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad or Prahlad Maharaj, who is a great Vaishnava, one of the Mahajans, and great devotee of Lord Narasimha. And so he is having a discussion with the Supreme Lord, probably in the form of Narasimha. But let's see. It says in Vishnu Damotra about this. So, oh, best of the Daityas, right? This is the Lord addressing Prahlad, right? Because Daitya means a demon. So Prahlad was born in the family of demons. His father was a demon. So he's considered a demon, but actually he was a devotee. He had very great faith and great love for the Lord, and the Lord protected him. So the Lord says, oh, best of the Daityas, listen now to the glories of the bell. Oh, Prahlad, there is no devotee like you within the three worlds. So Prahlad is the greatest devotee, is what the Lord is saying, right? Right. O son of a Daitya, know for certain that wherever there is a bell with my name inscribed, interesting. Namankita Ganta. It says here Namankita Ganta, which means that the bell actually has the name of Vishnu inscribed on it, the name of the Lord or the name of Krishna inscribed on it. Kept for my worship, I personally remain there in that place. I live in the heart of a person who rings a bell that bears the symbol of Garuda or Sudarshana Chakra. So we normally see in North India, you can buy bells in deity paraphernalia shops, which have a Garuda on the top. And sometimes in South India, in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Ramanuja Sampradaya, you have these bells that have a chakra on the top. And then actually on the other side of the chakra is sometimes the conch. So the conch and the chakra symbols are there on the top of the bell. There are some other sampradayas, like the Madhva Sampradaya, Madhva Vaishnava Sampradaya, you'll find that they use bells with Hanuman on the top because Hanuman is a very important personality in the Madhva Sampradaya. They consider him to be the greatest devotee. And then you have people who worship Shiva, the Shaivites. Sometimes you'll find that they have Nandi, the bull of Lord Shiva, on the top of the bell in their temples. So depending upon the tradition, depending on the Sampradaya, so many times Gopal Bhatta says here, you follow the system of your Sampradaya or your lineage, whatever your persons, all different acharyas and teachers in your lineage have done, you can follow that. So here specifically though, there's a statement here, and this is coming from Vishnu Damotra, that there can be a bell with a Garuda on the top, which is the carrier, the golden eagle carrier of Lord Vishnu, and or Sudarshana, which is the chakra weapon, the discus weapon of Lord Vishnu. So continuing on with 165 to 167. My dear son. So it seems again the Lord is addressing Prahlad Maharaj like his son, like he's his son. He considers him to be his son, even though he was the son of a demon, he considers him to be his son. Narasimha considers Prahlad like that. A person who daily rings in front of me a bell that is decorated with an inscription of Garuda, meaning there's a figure of Garuda on the bell, or the word Garuda is given, whatever it is. So the name Garuda. While offering me incense, worship, water for bathing, and sandalwood paste, achieves the merit of performing 10,000 sacrifices, giving 10,000 cows in charity, and observing 100 Chandrayana vows with each of his offerings. What is a Chandrayana vow? A Chandrayana vow is, Ayana means to follow. And Chandra means the moon. So following the moon, a vow following the moon. So what it means is, we discussed about the light fortnight and the dark fortnight of the moon. So in the light fortnight of the moon, or the Shukla Paksha, right, the moon is gradually getting brighter and brighter. In the dark fortnight, it's getting less and less. It's getting dimmer and dimmer. It's getting darker and darker. So so what one does is one starts either on the Purnima or the Amavasya. Normally it would start on the Amavasya or on the Purnima, and it would start. You would start off, and there's a type of fasting which occurs where you take either 15 handfuls or 15 spoonfuls or 15 mouthfuls of food on the first day, then 14, then 13, then 12, then 11, then 10, then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On the Amavasya, on the no moon day, you fast completely. And then the next day in the Shukla Paksha, you begin to eat again, and you start with one mouthful or one spoonful or one handful of food, right? And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up till you're eating 15 handfuls or 15 mouthfuls of food on the Purnima or the full moon. At the end of that time, that you've finished one Chandrayana fast. And so this is actually done by people in India. In fact, when I was a Pujari in ISKCON in Auckland, New Zealand, we had an Indian grocer who used to come to the temple, and during sometimes of the year, he would perform the Chandrayana fasting. He would say, I'm doing Chandrayana fasting, and that means that I'm eating 15, 14, 13, 12, and 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 15, like that. So the whole month, if you do this, you will definitely lose weight, and you will also, it's this particular type of vow that can be taken to, and it's mentioned in the Shmiti Shastras also, that it's the prayaschitta or the way to get rid of some certain sins that one may have committed, or certain mistakes that one may have committed. One can perform this Chandrayana fast. So it's like performing 100 of those. So imagine 100 months doing that, like that. That will be 8 years of fasting, basically, this type of fasting. Right, just a little over 8 years, but 8 years, 8, 12, 96. So about 8 years, 4 months. So 100 Chandrayana vows. Just by ringing a bell, any kind of worship becomes complete and successful. So we should not think of giving up ringing the bell, because just simply by ringing the bell, any mistake that we make in deity worship is considered to be cured, and the Lord accepts it as being perfect and successful. So I become pleased with a person who rings the bell while worshiping me, and so I give him a place in my eternal abode. So that's another good reason to ring the bell while we perform worship. Text 168 must be the same conversation continuing on. One can be relieved of the fear of birth and death if he rings the bell that is decorated with the symbol of a chakra or Garuda while worshipping me. So again, that was said previously in the Agamas. I think was the last time we heard that. Maybe, anyway. So Skanda Purana also says that. So continuing on. So again, it mentions Garuda and it mentions the chakra on the bells. So 169 to 171. Oh, King of the Daityas, again meaning Prahlad, I become as happy as a poor man who has received a huge amount of wealth by seeing a bell decorated with the symbol of Garuda. As the demigods experience happiness day and night by seeing nectar, the ambrosia or amrita, the nectar of immortality, I become very satisfied when I see the form of Garuda on a bell. Naturally, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, when he sees Garuda, who is his eternal servant, he's very happy when he sees him. In the age of Kali, right, which is specifically the age that we're living in now, a person attains the merit of performing 10 million Chandrayana vows, right? Simply by devotedly ringing a bell while worshipping me, a person attains the merit of performing 10 million Chandrayana vows. We already explained what that Chandrayana vow is, 10 million of them. So, text 172 to 173. Some other place, not in the Skanda Purana, but we're getting this from some other place. One makes a bell with a chakra, which is very dear to Lord Vishnu, or a symbol of Garuda on top, is supposed to have established the three worlds within the bell. So just by making that type of bell, one who hears the sound of the bell that is decorated with the symbol of the chakra at the time of death, even if he is the most simple person, cannot be approached by the Yamadutas or the servants of the god of death. Text 174 to 175. The sound of the bell that is rung during the worship of Lord Hari drives away all types of faults and inauspiciousness. The demigods, great sages, and forefathers become very pleased upon hearing the sound of the bell. In the absence of a bell, decorated with the symbol of Garuda or chakra, one should use an ordinary bell. So if you can't get a bell with the Garuda and chakra on it, then just get a normal hand bell. There is no doubt the Supreme Lord will be pleased with a devotee who worships him while ringing a bell. The main important thing is to have a bell, and the bell should be rung, and the sound is auspicious. Text 176, 177, one can be relieved from the fear of snakes, fire, and lightning if he has a bell decorated with the form of Garuda in his house, right? So why does it specifically say here snakes? Because Garuda is the enemy of snakes. Garuda eats snakes and kills snakes. So therefore, if you're worried about snakes, you need to worship Garuda. And so worship of Garuda is as simple as having a bell with the Garuda on top of the bell. So one cannot be called a devotee of Lord Hari if there is no conch shell or bell in his house placed in front of the deity. So there you go. So there's the definition right there. If you want to be called a devotee, you should definitely have a conch shell and a bell in front of the Lord in your house, in your puja room. So, text 178 to 179. Therefore, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Vaishnavas should use a bell that's decorated with a symbol of Garuda or a chakra. It's very auspicious to blow a conch shell, right? So now we bring in the conch shell again. We talked about the conch shell so much, so let's bring in the conch shell again. Blow a conch shell, chant the holy name of the Lord, sing his glories, dance before him, and recite literature such as the Puranas while bathing the deity. Right. So when we're bathing the deity, we can do all of these things. We can ring a bell. We can blow a conch shell and make a sound from the conch shell. We can chant the holy name of the Lord. We can sing his glories by singing different stotras and different hymns of praise. We can dance before him. We can use musical instruments. We can ring the bell. We can recite literature. We can, such as holy literature like the Puranas, the different scriptures. And while we're bathing the deity, we can do that. We can do all those things. Nice. And of course, we're using the conch shell to not only to blow, but also to bathe the deity as well. So all of those things can be done while bathing the deity. So here we are. We're summing up. This is given as the end of a particular set of glorifications, glorifying the bell, glorifying the conch shell, glorifying the blowing of the bell, ringing of the bell, blowing of the conch shell, bathing with the conch shell, the different types of bells with the Garuda and the chakra and all these different things are all given here, and bringing us back to that point that we were at before we started discussing all these things about bathing the deity. So now continue on with 180, we're going to get we're going to get more glorification of bathing the deity, right? Because that's where we were before we got sidetracked and we started talking about the bell and the conch shell and all these sort of things, right? Back to the bathing of the deity, because all of these other things like the bell and the conch and these are all glorifications of using certain type of paraphernalia, but the paraphernalia is used in the actual worship of the deity, and the worship of the deity is the main thing. So we can worship the paraphernalia, we can chant mantras with the bell, we can chant mantras with the conch shell, but ultimately we have to come back to the worship of the deity, which is the main thing. So here we're going to talk about, again, the bathing of the deity, the glories of the bathing of the deity, which we were on before. But this time we're talking about the bathing of the deity along with musical instruments, along with the auspicious sounds. So the glories of playing musical instruments while bathing the Lord. From the Skanda Purana, it's stated, this is text 180, right? A person who blows a conch shell at the time of bathing Lord Krishna becomes qualified to live in Brahmaloka during the duration of one kalpa, which is a very long time, Chakra Yuga, 4 different yugas, very, very long time. So many, many millions of years. So you notice that in the previous verse, we started talking about blowing the conch. Up until now, we didn't talk about blowing the conch. We talked about bathing with the conch. Now we're talking about, when we started to talk about the bell, we started to talk about sounds, and then that brought in the idea of musical instruments and also of singing the glories and singing the holy names of the Lord and singing different stotras of praise. And then the idea came back to bathing the deity while doing all of these things. So now we're talking about blowing the conch shell. So text 181, the Rig Veda has revealed that in the Rig Veda, it's revealed that dancing and singing before Lord Krishna at the time of his bathing makes everyone purified. So now we have, again, back to the Skanda Purana conversation between Brahma and Narada in text 182, those who worship Lord Vasudeva while dancing and playing mridangas. And the word mridanga is actually used here. So what does the word mridanga mean? Mridanga vadyene. So vadya means the sound of mridangas. Yutam, along with the sound of mridangas. So mridanga, what is a mridanga? The word mrid comes from the word mrit or mritika, which means earth or clay. And anga means limbs or body. So mridanga means a drum that has a clay body, right? A specific type of drum that has a clay body, right? So those who worship Lord Vasudeva while dancing and playing mridangas certainly attain liberation from material bondage. Now, continuing on with this conversation, text 183 to 187 is going to tell us more about this. To sing, to play musical instruments, to dance, right, and recite the Vedic literature while worshiping is always very pleasing to Lord Krishna. In the absence of dancing and playing musical instruments, one should recite Vedic literature. So what does that say? So different things. Let's have a look at the Sanskrit here. I'm saying Gita, Vadyam, Nrityam. So singing, chanting, right, making a sound, dancing, like that. Puja Kale is always considered very dear to Lord Keshava, right? But if we can't do that at the time of puja, then we should pustaka vachanam, chant from the shastras, right? Pustaka, okay, to Vishnu Nama Sahasrakam. We can chant the 1,000 names of Vishnu, right? Right, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, or stavas, which are different stotras, which were written by the Muni Shrestras, the best of the rishis, like Gajendra Moksham. Gajendra Moksham is a specific set of verses that comes from the Bhagavad Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It's the glorification of a story where Lord Vishnu on Garuda came and saved an elephant that was being, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, who was being bitten by a crocodile while he was taking bath. So we can chant the Vishnu Sahasranam, we can chant the Gajendra Moksha. So I encourage everybody. We have regular classes on Vishnu Sahasranam, learning how to chant Vishnu Sahasranam, learning how to chant Gajendra Moksha, right? And we can give you, even if you want to practice by yourself, the audios of people reciting these stotras, which are supposed to be done during deity worship. And then also there are other things. Gita, Stotra, Manusmritihi. Okay, chanting of Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, stotras, different stotras, Manusmriti, even the Smriti Shastras can be chanted. Panchastava means there are 5 specific stotras which can be chanted. Mahabhaga, Mahapriti, Hara Hare. So the Lord very much enjoys these things. Gita Vadyani Pujikali Sadahari, Mahabhaksha Vishnu Nama Sahasrakam. So we're talking about, again, Vishnu Sahasranama is mentioned twice here. Okay, so there are many things that can be chanted. Now they're going to go into later on. We're going to get actual sections I think it's going to come in the 8th chapter of Bhakti Vilasa, but we're going to talk about chanting the Gita, chanting Puranas, chanting the Bhagavatam, chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, chanting all of the certain different literatures like that at the time of doing worship, right? Of course, chanting the holy name as well and can be done, but all these things have got the different glorifications given in Bhakti Vilasa in chapter 8. Okay, so now this is just a taste of it here. So we're just getting a little bit of an understanding of it here, like that. To sing, play musical instruments, to recite the Vedic literature while worshipping is always pleasing to Lord Krishna. In the absence of dancing and playing musical instruments, one should recite the Vedic literatures, different Vedic literatures. My dear son, the recitation of the Vedic literatures is very pleasing to the Lord, especially at the time of worship, right? If there are no Vedic literature to recite, which means Vedas, chanting of the actual Shruti Vedas, right? And we chant, when we worship the Lord, we chant Purusha Shuktam. There's actually Pancha Shuktam, Purusha Shuktam, Purusha Shuktam, Narayana Shuktam, Vishnu Shuktam, Sri Shuktam, Bhu Shuktam, Nila Shuktam. There are many other Vedic mantras which we can chant like that. And so that's that we can do. And we're just going to continue on for a little bit longer because it's getting late. So anyway, my dear son, the recitation of Vedic literature is very pleasing to the Lord, the Vedas, especially at the time of worship. If there is no Vedic literature, meaning no actual Vedas which can be chanted, or somebody doesn't know how to chant the Vedas themselves, because Vedic chanting is a little bit more difficult than ordinary classical Sanskrit chanting, especially at the time. So one can chant the Vishnu Sahasranama, Stotram, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, Stavaraj, which is a particular stotra, Gajendra Moksha, Bhagavad Gita, or Anushmriti. So we have to look actually in the purported by Sanatana Goswami to try to find out more about these different things which are recommended to chant during the time of worship. But we saw in the above Sanskrit that Vishnu Sahasranama was mentioned twice. So Vishnu Sahasranama is very important. So these five are very pleasing to the Lord. So these are the five which are mentioned: Vishnu Sahasranama, Stavaraj, Gajendra Moksha, Bhagavad Gita, and Anushmriti. So I'll try to find out what Anushmriti is exactly. The rest of them we can understand pretty much. So one can always recite the 1,000 names of Vishnu while worshipping instead of singing or playing musical instruments. So here we have a pramana here for what you can do in case there's nobody there to sing and play musical instruments. Obviously, the pujari is there by himself. He can engage in chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu. So texts 188 to 189 in the Dwarka Mahatmyam. So there's a Mahatmyam, there's a glorification of Dwarka, which is the holy city on the seashore in Gujarat that Lord Krishna founded after he left Mathura and put the residents of Mathura there. O King, one who chants Jai Jai, Jaya Jaya, right? It's right in Hindi it would be Jai Jai. In Sanskrit it's Jaya Jaya. It means victory. The word victory, right? Shabdam, Jaya Shabdam. Jaya Shabdam. Shabdam means word, right? So while Lord Krishna is being bathed, clapping his hands, singing the Lord's glories, dances before him, laughs freely, and discusses topics in relation to the Lord or him, right, does not again enter the womb of a mother, but he attains liberation. So now we're going to get the glories of the Vishnu Sahasranama.